Welcome to PastPathsUK-USA, where we explore the most important moments in world history with depth, clarity, and balance. Today's documentary covers the Pacific War, a massive and brutal conflict fought between Imperial Japan and the United States during World War II. This war stretched across thousands of miles of ocean, involved some of the bloodiest battles ever recorded, and ended with weapons that changed human history forever. To understand how and why it happened, we must begin before the first shot was fired. Rising tensions before the war. The early 20th century. Japan was rapidly transforming from an isolated island nation into a powerful industrial and military empire. Japan lacked natural resources such as oil, iron, and rubber, which were essential for modern warfare and industrial growth. To secure these resources, Japan expanded into China and Southeast Asia. The United States viewed this expansion as a threat to stability, trade routes, and its own interests in the Pacific. As a response, the US imposed economic sanctions and cut off Japan's oil supply. These sanctions pushed Japan into a corner, forcing its leaders to choose between retreat or war. Why Japan chose to attack the United States? Japan believed that war with the United States was inevitable. American naval power in the Pacific was the greatest obstacle to Japan's imperial ambitions. Japanese military leaders believed that if they struck first and destroyed the US Pacific Fleet, America would lose the will to fight and accept Japan's dominance in Asia. This belief was based on a deep misunderstanding of American resolve and industrial capacity. Pearl Harbor, the opening blow, the morning of December 7, 1941. Japanese aircraft launched a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Battleships were sunk, aircraft destroyed on the ground, and over 2,400 Americans were killed. Although tactically successful, the attack failed to destroy American aircraft carriers, which were at sea, instead of crippling America. Pearl Harbor unified the nation and ignited total war. America enters the war. Attack on Pearl Harbor shocked the American public. Within hours, the United States declared war on Japan. America rapidly mobilized its economy. Factories were converted to produce ships, planes, tanks, and weapons on an unprecedented scale. The United States was no longer a neutral power. It had become fully committed to global war. Japan's early successes in the Pacific. The months following Pearl Harbor, Japan achieved stunning victories. It captured the Philippines, Malaya, Singapore, and large parts of Southeast Asia. These victories gave Japan control of vital resources and created an illusion of invincibility. However, Japan's rapid expansion overstretched its forces and weakened its supply lines. The Battle of Midway, the turning point. June 1942, the Battle of Midway became the most important naval battle of the Pacific War. American codebreakers intercepted Japanese communications and predicted the attack. US forces ambushed the Japanese fleet and sank 4 aircraft carriers. This single battle permanently shifted the balance of power in the Pacific, ending Japan's ability to launch large-scale offensives. The island-hopping strategy, Midway. The United States adopted a strategy known as island hopping. Instead of attacking every Japanese-held island, US forces targeted key strategic locations, cutting off Japanese bases and leaving them isolated. This strategy minimized casualties while steadily advancing toward Japan itself. Brutality of jungle and island warfare. Pacific War was uniquely brutal. Soldiers faced extreme heat, tropical diseases, hunger, and psychological exhaustion. Japanese military culture emphasized fighting to the death, leading to fierce resistance. Prisoners were rarely taken, and survival depended on endurance as much as firepower. Guadalcanal, the War of Attrition. Battle of Guadalcanal marked the first major American ground offensive against Japan. For 6 months, both sides fought desperately for control of the island. Naval battles, air raids, and jungle combat pushed soldiers to their limits. Japan eventually withdrew, signaling that it could no longer match American resources. Kamikaze warfare and desperation. Defeat loomed. Japan introduced kamikaze tactics, suicide attacks by pilots crashing into Allied ships. These attacks caused heavy losses and psychological shock. They reflected Japan's desperation and willingness to sacrifice lives rather than surrender. Iwo Jima, a fortress of death. Iwo Jima was heavily fortified with tunnels, bunkers, and underground defenses. The battle lasted over a month and resulted in enormous casualties on both sides. The famous flag-raising photograph symbolized American sacrifice and determination. Okinawa, the bloodiest battle in AWA, was the final major battle before Japan itself. It involved massive ground, sea, and air forces. Civilians were caught in the fighting, suffering immense losses. The scale of death convinced us leaders that invading Japan would cost millions of lives. The atomic bomb decision. Avoid a full invasion. The United States used atomic weapons for the first time in history. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were destroyed, killing tens of thousands instantly. The bombings shocked the world and demonstrated a terrifying new form of warfare. Japan's surrender and the end of the war. August 15, 1945, Japan announced its surrender. The Pacific War and World War II officially ended. Japan was left devastated, and the global balance of power shifted dramatically. The Pacific War reshaped the modern world. It ended Japan's empire, established the United States as a global superpower, and introduced the nuclear age. Japan rebuilt itself into a peaceful nation, while the lessons of the war continue to influence global politics, military strategy, and international relations. This complete documentary was presented by PastPathsUK-USA. If you believe history should be understood deeply, like this video, subscribe to PastPathsUK-USA, and share it so the lessons of the past are never forgotten.